Welcome to The Joyful Life, the podcast for finding true happiness in every aspect of your life through spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental health. I'm your host, Anthony LaJoy, and thanks for joining us for another episode of exploration into personal success. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Joyful Life podcast. This week we have an old friend of mine. I know she's very young. She's only 21 years young, but we've known each other for a long time. So this is Mikayla Cerrudo. Mikayla, welcome to the Joyful Life podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to have you here. Mikayla is a very talented musician, and she also is kind of branching into her own brand of inspiration and motivation for young ladies, young people in general. But one of the coolest things about her is she has an insane drive to always be better, and she's had some struggles that I'm gonna have you tell them about here in a little bit. But she's done a lot of really cool things for such a young person. I got the cat here in the screen, so no worries. You know, we're I guess that's what we call live podcasting. Anyway, so Mikayla, tell us a little bit about you. Tell a little bit about your struggles. You struggled with like Lyme disease, PODS, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, as also as your sister. So we're gonna get into it. It's gonna be a good topic, folks. And the thing about this episode, this is something that I don't know a whole lot about. So I'm trying to kind of raise awareness to some struggles out there that, after this episode, you may just feel a little bit more blessed for things that you took for granted before. So Mikayla, you have the floor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, like you said, I'm 21 years old. I'm currently going to school for marketing. I am a full-time online student at the moment, but have hopes of going back to a traditional university and going to classes like a quote-unquote normal person. But, I mean, I guess for struggles, it was never really easy for me. And even though it looks easy now through social media or anyone coming up to me and saying hi, it's definitely have a struggle through my past. And it's kind of interesting how everything started, because I grew up normal like everyone else. I was running outside, playing with friends, climbing trees, and then I was actually in sports. I did soccer, gymnastics, softball. I
remember when you were in gymnastics,
a big sports person.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of shifted, and I don't know. As a kid, I was so confused. It's like, why can't I run like those people? Why can I only play for 10 minutes without getting hurt? It was just, I never really understood it, and I didn't know why. But then when my mom started to go through her health issues, she was actually misdiagnosed with lupus.
Okay.
And she, being the scientist that she is, was like, no, I think I have Lyme. And she was actively searched for doctors. There really wasn't any in Michigan, and she found one in Detroit. And she got tested for Lyme, and she ended up being positive. And she then was like, can I get my children tested? Because I think they have it too. And he's like, yeah, sure. I love him. He's great. But yeah, he's like, yeah, we can get them tested, and we can get it all figured out. I tested positive, and my sister actually tested negative. But the reason why that happened, even though we both have Lyme disease, is because the test is really faulty.
Okay.
And so you can have it your whole entire life and still test negative. And some doctors will actually say, because it tested negative, I'm not treating you.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
So even if you have like symptoms and things, like you can still test, or you can still test negative.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, now, there's more like strands and stuff. It gets complicated.
Okay, how did your mother get it?
She got it in college. She went to school in the UP, and she's kind of doing more science stuff and outreach through different like organizations, and spent a lot of time outdoors, either doing photography or science or just kind of that whole branch. And she got bit by a tick, and they thought she had Rocky Mountain spotted fever, because it was that similar like similar symptoms, and they didn't really know why.
Yeah.
And even back then, it was kind of like a foreign disease. No one really knew much about it.
Yeah.
So then she she got misdiagnosed, and then her symptoms really flared when she was teaching at the high school. And then, so then when she started to get sick, she reached out to different doctors, and that's when she really found out that she had Lyme.
Yeah, so how old were you when you kind of went through that? I'm sure there was a time when, like you said, why can't I run with the other kids or play with the other kids, and without getting hurt and things. Like, do you remember how old you were and like kind of that moment when you were like, this is why I'm not the same, is why I'm different?
I distinctly remember third grade, and it wasn't like the physical ailments that were starting to get me, it was the mental components that was getting to me. I couldn't do multiplication tables like as quick as the other people. I had struggle telling time, like those little things. It was just like seeing an analog clock.
Yeah.
Like just that visual like aspect of it. I couldn't get it. I would spend more time on homework because I couldn't understand it. It was just kind of weird. It was just like I specifically knew that I thought I was okay, but then seeing everyone surpass me, it was a kind of like a weird feeling of be like, I'm working as equally as hard as these other people, but I'm still struggling.
That is so interesting that it's really a physical ailment, but it kind of like affected your mind as well. That's like a double whammy of negativity in your life, like a double struggle.
And like I definitely thought it was just be like, oh, it's just me learning slower. We thought I had dyslexia, so it's like, okay, so then we'll just take it. We'll take the extra steps that are needed to do it. I'm still like a happy kid at this time, and
you always have been. That's one thing that I think really always struck me about you. And then as I learned more, what your struggles were, just from because we've known each other for probably 10 years, and so you were always very talented with the music aspect, and very focused, very happy, and you still kind of maintain that, which is one reason that I really wanted to have you on here, because I think you're a really good example of when people struggle with something, it's not about your situation. It's not about your like what's presented to you. It's really about how you meet it, right? And your attitude has always been really awesome in that. But something that I'm sure probably affected not just you, but I'm sure this is something that affects your family. And I know your parents as well, and you guys are always smiling, every one of you. And that's again, it's kind of the attitude aspect. But where is that kind of like a conscious decision that you guys said, hey, like we're gonna meet this right in the face, or is that just purely a personality? Is that coincidence, or is that a choice?
I guess in a lot of situations, it is a coincidence. My dad's a genuinely happy person. He's always smiling.
Yeah.
His smile is contagious, and I get my smile from him. I've heard that multiple times.
Yeah.
But we definitely had tough moments. Not saying like it was an easy journey or anything, but it really like pushed our limits as a family. Just because it was 3 people that was sick out of our 4-person family.
Your mother, you, and your sister, right? Yeah, which we'll get into that a little bit about your sister's struggles too.
Yeah, so it was all at one time too, and it was, my dad being the wonderful person that he is just like, he took it with stride, and whatever we needed, he said, yes, let's do it. And then it just kind of, through the health issues, we became stronger as a family, and we learned to laugh about the little things.
Yeah.
Just kind of naturally. It's like, oh, we're having a hard day today. We're all super nauseous. Let's laugh about it. So we always found the little, like, blessings in the day, and we just held on to them tight. And since me and my sister were both really young, too, my mom tried to help us keep that childhood aspect.
Yeah.
Like, especially during our PICC line treatments. I don't know if you knew anything about that, but
nope.
In 6th grade, I took a month off of school, and I went down to Detroit. So 4 hours south. I stayed with a friend, me and my mom did, and I had PICC line treatments. So I had a PICC line that was put in. It's like a catheter that goes into your arm that leads to your heart. And then I had this like little ball of medicine that I would do every 3 or so hours. It's just this constant cycle of medicine and having fun, basically.
Yeah.
But it was neat because the friend that we were staying with had like a veterinary clinic on site, and she had horses and dogs, and we would just kind of like play. And even if we weren't feeling good, like we would always go to Target. It's just like, okay, we don't feel good today, but we should get out of the house. Let's go to Target. So then
go to Target.
Yep. And so we'll get in the car, we'll pack all of our stuff up, we'll walk around and just have fun. And I think that was like one of the highlights for me, is just kind of spending time with my mom and her creating these fun moments for us.
Y'all probably have like a relationship and a connection that's like rare for mothers and daughters, sisters, right? I think a lot of times, and it may be, in families where they don't struggle with, allergies or any physical ailments, mental ailments. How often do you see siblings that are just like, you're so stupid, Mom, like, look at what Susie did, right? They're always trying to get each other in trouble. And then even as adults, like into college and older than that, like, yeah, I don't get along with my siblings. I've never understood that. My family's always got along. Of course we had our little spats. I'm sure y'all did too. But I just don't understand how a family can, be that negative to each other. But you guys, on the flip side of that, are uniquely strong. And I think one of two things happens when a family deals with struggle, right? They either split apart or they pull together.
Yeah.
You guys pull together amazingly. And your younger sister, let's talk about her for a second. Yeah. She's had some major struggles. Mm-hmm. Also a super brave little girl.
Yeah.
But she's not so little anymore. She's only 5 years younger than you. But she's had to go through brain surgeries, plus dealing with
all the Lyme stuff.
Yeah. Can you expand on that a little bit and talk about her issues?
Yeah. So actually her journey really started in 3rd grade. Even though getting diagnosed with Lyme young and having the PICC line in and getting that type of treatment, her journey really started when she was in 3rd grade. Only because that was her first brain surgery, and it was scary for all of us. I mean, we all had to adapt to that, but also what they did is they put a shunt in to control the excess fluid in her brain and her spinal cord.
Now, what's a shunt? Sorry, I'm gonna ask all these questions because I know there's people out there who know. I don't know either, so let's just.
I'll try to explain it the best that I can. Yeah. It's just kind of like with my family. It's like, oh, she has a shunt. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Not to like hurt her or anything.
How do you spell it? Do you know?
I think it's like the typical spelling, like SHUNT.
Okay, so you guys can Google it too if you want to take a look at the pictures of it.
It's like a Chiari shunt or something like that. Something super medical that I am not sure on.
No worries.
But at least for me, what I kind of like picture it, I don't know if this is like the right way to picture it, is kind of like at the Sulaks, how there's water that comes in and then you can pull like the little gate thing and then it goes out.
Raise the water to raise the ships up and run down. Okay.
Yeah, so it's, at least for me, that's kind of how I picture it, is that like, oh, there's a blockage of fluid, let's let it release and then close it off.
Interesting. Okay.
And it like regulates. There's some crazy tech part of it where it like knows.
Sure.
And it's all like controlled by a little magnet, and it's wild. But that was when, going back to my sister, that was kind of when everything shifted, if that makes sense. Because like we could deal with the health stuff. We're all here as a family. No one's like really super hurt. But this was the first time that someone that we love had to really go under the knife.
Yeah.
And for a big shift. And I mean, my sister has had health issues her whole life and had to have like little surgeries here and there. But this was a big one because it involved the brain. And I mean, we were all super nervous about it, and I was terrified. I remember like going through school just like with a pit in my stomach, just because I was just so worried about her. But she ended up being okay, and the one thing that happened with that one at least is that she lost the ability to write, and she was really self-conscious about that because she lost the ability to write. Wow. But basically her whole, I'm going to say 3rd and 4th grade year, she worked with my mom practically every single day and taught herself how to write because she's a great writer and she wanted to be a writer. And that was one way of how she could express herself. And so she taught herself how to write, and now she's doing crazy things like being the CAD captain of her robotics team. So it's crazy how
Are
that
you
one
kidding?
moment like spins off into something like that.
That's awesome. That's the kind of stuff that they make movies about. Like, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. Your family is very interesting because you guys like don't have this facade on the outside. On the outside, you're just like the average American family. That's impressive. Wow, teaching yourself how to write, like, and do you guys get this? Like, this is things that we take for granted every day. Like, I'm kind of like speechless right now, and that does not happen. Not ever.
And if you think about it, she was only like 7 or 8 years old, teaching herself with the determination to teach herself how to write again.
And when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was trying to stay away from every bit of learning. I just want to be outside, running, climbing trees, all that stuff. And she was having to like go back to learn the basics.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's always had that willpower.
Yeah.
If she wants, she sets her goal and she'll meet it. Like that's how she is.
That's remarkable, especially for a kid of that age to have that willpower to focus on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's crazy. One thing that you struggle with is pods. Pods.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that for us?
Yes. So it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Super long name, but POTS for short. It's more common in women between like ages 18 and 24, which is kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we don't know why it happens. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
With my case, we think it is connected to the Lyme.
Okay.
But like I said, we don't really know for sure just because it happens.
Yeah.
I was at college. I was a sophomore in college at Baldwin-Wallace University. And then all of a sudden I got sick for the winter, like most college students do.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I got the flu, I got the bug. Yeah.
And instead of it being like a typical flu, I'm with my immune system being compromised. I can't speak today.
It's all good.
With my immune system being compromised, it lasted longer than usual, which it's like whatever. I'm used to it. I'll get better eventually. I just stock up on that zinc and the vitamin D and just kind of like keep chugging through. But
Love it.
This one was it was strange. It was like going on 3 to 4 weeks, so around a month, and I was having a lot of like struggles with it, and I didn't really know why. Like I'd sit up and I would get dizzy. I'd stand up and I'd feel like I would have to pass out. I was having more cognitive issues, and I didn't really know what was going on, and it got pretty bad. I was basically visiting the ER every week just because I didn't know what was going on, and obviously something was wrong. And then it got to the point where I couldn't walk across my little dorm room without passing out.
Oh my goodness.
And that's where I started to panic, just because if I can't walk the 5 feet from my bed to my door, how am I going to walk the 10 minutes from class to class without passing out?
Yeah.
So that's when I made the conscious decision to go on medical leave. I had to get this health thing figured out. I came home, and that was my sole priority, was to get healthy. So I got a cardiologist on board. We got a physical therapist on board. Just kind of a lot of like trial and error things that we're doing. I had a complete 180 of diet shifting. Just because I needed to know what it was and what's going on.
Yeah.
So to expand a little bit about that is my blood pressure would be super, super low to start with, and my blood would pool in my ankles. So it wasn't circulating, which, I mean, for a normal person, it'd be circulating and you get the blood to your brain. And with me, blood wasn't going to my brain, which explained the cognitive issues. And then because it was in my ankles, when I stood up, my blood pressure would actually raise too much. And so when I'd pass out, my blood pressure would stay kind of normal. It would skyrocket and bottom out completely, which is terrifying if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like when they were telling me this, I'm like, are you sure? Like, am I fine? What do I have to do? But So then we started with little things like compression socks to keep the blood from pooling in my ankle, a lot of salt in my diet, which is really kind of strange when you think about it.
Yeah. Most doctors tell you to stay away from the salt and that sort of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, this one it's like some obscene number of how much like milligrams of salt that you have to have a day, and at least 3 liters of water a day, and then like little exercising here and there. So it was just kind of this whole like lifestyle switch when I got back from school and made it my sole priority to get better. And with that, starting to implement everything, I started to get better.
Okay.
And then I added the exercising part, not like super running or anything, but I would walk 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then I could find that the first 10 minutes are going to be the hardest. So then it's like, if I can get through 10 minutes of whatever I'm doing, I can do whatever I want to do. So then I went from walking to running to different exercise programs that I was able to follow along with, a lot of jumping eventually. And then the day that I was able to do a burpee, I literally cried. I'm like, Mom, look, I can do a burpee without passing out.
Oh my gosh.
Because I never thought I would be able to do that.
Yeah, because that's a lot of like up and downs, and yeah, I could see that being an issue if like the passing out, the blood flow and stuff.
And like with my physical therapist for even a different issue, I would do a lunge and I would pass out. And it's like from a lunge to passing out to being able to do a burpee is like the biggest step that I could ever make.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You mentioned about, your diet and stuff, which I know diet that's a big key for even a totally healthy person. They say, fitness is like 80% diet, 10% or 20% workout, or 90 and 10 or whatever it was. Was that a big aspect for you with your condition?
Yes, it was. I mean, if you think about college, you think about like ramen noodles and a whole bunch of processed
pizza.
Food. Yeah. So basically when I came home, I almost cut all of that out.
Okay.
I took mostly all the processed stuff out, and I was eating very clean. So like a lot of fruits and vegetables and rice, quinoa, that type of thing. I mean, I still have some processed foods here and there, but
you have to. You gotta cut loose. Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta splurge.
Mm-hmm. And then I added salt to everything, which was, I mean, I've always been a lover of salt. Me and my aunt both share that.
Do you put salt in watermelon? I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it was kind of funny. It was like one day I came with the watermelon thing. I came back and it was like, oh, someone put salt on their watermelon. So I tried it. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's fun. And it was weird at first, like salting everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm just completely used to it.
You drink salt water?
No. I probably should with the amount of water that I have to drink.
Like, I'm going to move to the ocean and I'm just going to drink a cup of that every morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. No, I think my brother introduced me to salt on watermelon first, and then I don't know if it was through laziness or trying to be cool for me. He would eat the seeds too, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the seeds. So then I started eating the seeds as well, and they don't add any flavor. It's kind of weird. Sometimes they get stuck in your teeth and whatnot. But it is so much easier than picking out the individual seeds. So to this day, I just eat seeds.
Oh.
And if there's one like sitting on top, I'll scrape it off. There's no need to do that. But I used to have to go in with my fork and pick out each individual seed. Mm-hmm. Got way easier. Like all the picky eaters out there, I'm like, how do you do it? Uh-huh. Like that's a struggle in itself that you're choosing to do. You're choosing that struggle. I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. You mentioned 10 minutes a day, and that was kind of how you realized, okay, if I can do this for 10 minutes a day, I can do anything. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the people who trying to get in a workout regimen, and quite honestly, they're just too lazy to do it. They're like, I can't find the motivation. I don't want to go to the gym for 30 minutes. I don't want to do this, do that. Mm-hmm. What would you tell them? And this is where you get to step out and be proud of your struggle and proud of what you've accomplished. What would you tell a healthy person who just isn't getting to the gym purely because they don't want to, or they're too tired or something like that?
Mm-hmm. So, if you think about it, a Netflix TV show is about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. A workout is also about 20 minutes. Why would you sit there for 20 minutes when you could walk for 20 minutes? Get air, fresh air outside for 20 minutes. Even like a commercial break that's usually like 2 to 3 minutes, do jumping jacks. Do something that is going to benefit your life. And I mean, it's as simple as that. Why just be lazy for 10 minutes? I mean, honestly, if you had like a big day, I would probably like chill out for 10 minutes, but then I would go do something.
Yeah.
Because you can do it now. And I mean, I spent a ton of days just kind of lying on the couch feeling really, really bad. And I'm like, I look back on those days and yes, I'm thankful for them because it's part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it feels like to be having this now and being able to go walk and run and do jumping jacks and go have fun again. But
yeah. How blessed do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10 every day?
Sideways 8, so infinity.
That's great. What how do you measure your gratitude levels? Like how when you get up, as it's just like you wake up and you feel good, and when you're walking to your car to go to work, you're just like, man, maybe you're tired, right? In the setting up a situation, maybe you're tired and you're going to work, but is it like, man, I'm so grateful just to be able to walk to my car without passing out, to be able to work a full day without passing out, to be able to be involved with musicals and do what I love, to inspire people every day.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is you don't realize it until you're like standing there and you're like, oh, I can do this now. I started a job this summer in retail, which is a lot of standing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it a year ago. But I'm able to do the 8-hour stretches, the 4-hour stretches of just standing and running around doing different things, which it's crazy because like I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself.
Yeah.
And even like, I had an example, I just lost it. But it's crazy to me to think that even though it's part of me, that this is where I am.
Yeah.
And even if I'm having a bad day, this is what I always tell people that are having a bad day, is that find at least one thing that's positive. Or say you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
The first thing I would say is what's something positive that happened. Either from someone smiling at you on the sidewalk or giving you a compliment, or you really liked the tree that was over there and it made you smile. That little thing, if you can hold on to it and keep it close to you, that's all that matters.
That's good. I like that. Because how many people, and now that you're working in retail, how many people you come in and you're like, hey, how's your day going? And they're actually honest with you, and they're like, oh, not so good. I went to the bank, but they weren't open yet. And then I went to the grocery store, and they were all out of lemon juice. And you're like, really? It's causing a bad day for you. Okay, got it.
When it comes to that situation, it's always my mission to give them a positive.
Right?
So it's like, okay, because me and my dad have the gift of people just opening up to us,
Yeah.
which is why like when he would go across 10 minutes of NCMC's campus, he would add like 20 minutes to his commute.
Yeah.
Because he would always run into someone, they'd strike up a conversation and unload their life story. But it's fun when, at least working in retail, because it's like they could be having a bad day, but as soon as they walk into their store, you could be the positive. That hello that you tell them could be their positive.
Yep.
That, oh, I love your shoes today, could be their positive and their reason for smiling.
That's true. And one thing that I found, so probably, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, I kind of did this almost like an experiment where I realized that smiling is a muscular function, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Sometimes it is just like a sign, like if you laugh, if something's funny, or you smile, right? But it is a muscular function. So like no matter how bad you feel, if you look at yourself in the mirror or whatever and just, right?
Mm-hmm.
It might be fake, but how many people do you watch? There's like, hey, pose for a picture, right? And they go,
yep.
And then as soon as the picture's done, they're like, just dead serious again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of realized, like when you tell yourself, like, to smile, it makes, and especially if you look at yourself, you see that smile. So I thought, what happens if I just smile at someone on the street? They smile back, right? So if you're having a bad day, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna fake smile right now. Someone else is gonna smile. When they smile back at you, and if they have a genuine smile, like it's fake, it doesn't really matter. Anytime you see somebody or multiple people smile, it starts making you happy. And the more of it you give out, positivity, it starts coming back to you. So there have been multiple days for me, like when I go to work and stuff. Yeah, guys, I know on the Instagram, it always seems happy and stuff. But some of those moments, even if I'm smiling, I'm not necessarily in it having a great day, having a great mood, but that's when I'll audibly say, some of the things that I'm grateful for. And when you do that, you start putting out that positivity, and then the people around you start getting infected with that, and they start giving it right back to you. And that's when I think you get a huge, like a surge of energy in yourself, right? And it seems like that's kind of what you do with that. And uh, being able to experience all the stuff that you do now is, like we talked about, kind of like a major, positive shift in your life. Because I guess you don't really know what you have until you lose it, or you didn't know what you were missing until you have it.
Yeah. So like going off a little bit about that is, my middle school years were absolutely terrible just because I was feeling terrible. There was the typical drama of middle school and just negativity, and I didn't want to be a part of it.
Right.
But even though I was feeling terrible and having bad days left and right, I told myself that if I can fake a smile, eventually I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And like, you don't know if that smile is going to affect someone, so it's like, whatever. I don't want to put more negativity in this place. Yeah. So smiling through it was kind of like our way, my family's way of getting through things, like laughing at nausea. But it's just that little things of what can you do to put positivity out in the world.
Yeah. That's a big thing, right? And it starts coming back to you tenfold. Yeah. And then plus you feel amazing at the end of the day when you're like, man, I helped 3 people or 5 people realize how blessed they are today and how, why they shouldn't have a bad day. Did you ever, kind of going back, I guess, to your younger years, like in high school, middle school, I'm sure kids didn't really understand why maybe you weren't at school one day and whatnot. Was there ever a time, obviously, where, we talked about how you kind of didn't understand what was happening to you all the time, but was there ever a time that you were like bullied or teased about being weird or being different? Because kids don't understand that.
No, they don't.
And a lot of times kids are ruthless too. So can you kind of expand on that a little bit? And because there's probably people out there listening who are right now getting bullied. What would you say to them and how your experience was?
So with my experience, I'll start with that first.
Yeah.
It was hard being the kid with the invisible illness that looked okay on the outside, but feeling terrible on the inside. And a lot of people didn't understand and was confused about it. It's just like, but you're able to walk right now. Why are you on crutches the next day? Or between kids, it's spreading rumors about me, being like, oh, she's the sick girl, and oh, she has anorexia. They didn't know that I was actually on a medication for migraines. That was one of the symptoms was weight loss, and I couldn't help it. But they didn't understand and that wasn't just students. That was through the teachers too.
Oh wow!
And it was hard because even like through music, they didn't understand. They'd be like, oh, well, because you weren't here today, you don't get this solo, or little things like that. And it was hard. I'm surrounded by negativity and these teachers and all these different things that were happening to me. As a high schooler, I didn't know what to do. Yeah. Because who I thought were my best friends, I secretly was saying stuff behind my back. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Realization right there. Yeah. And then it was like, once it got to the point where I was there regularly because of the health stuff, it was a game of what if. What if they say something about this? What if they say something about this? And it just, it consumed me, honestly, and it was terrible because I was still dealing with health stuff. I was dealing with all these words that are being said to me. My mental health wasn't very good, but it was like I would go to school and put on a show. In my mind, it was, even though I was dealing with all this stuff, people knew me as the girl that smiled. People knew me as the girl that laughed at everything. People knew me as the music girl. And that's when I kind of had to shut everything out.
Yeah.
Get rid of those toxic people, and find what made me like cope with all of that. And that was through music, which is it's kind of fun how that plays a role. And even though everything was dark and gloomy on the outside, I had a way to express myself and escape the world for a little bit.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is where words fail us, music speaks.
Yeah.
And I've seen that be true in many times, many situations, and it does help you escape, darkness in your life or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's sad that that kids and teachers especially, like adults, especially as teachers, it's kind of like it's their job. And now in a way, as an adult, I see like in the younger generations, like I'm a teacher of them, right? And I have my mentors that have taught me. So I think just as adults, we need to think of ourselves as teachers, and we need to treat each other and younger and everybody, younger and older generations. We need to treat everybody in the golden rule in the way that we would want to be treated. And when you don't understand something that someone's going through, like ask them about it, find out about it. It's an educational experience for you, but you never know about one person that might need to get something off their chest who can then connect with you and vent to you and stuff with their issues. So it's just so much easier to help people than it is to make fun of people, right?
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the hardest things that I didn't really understand was if they really wanted to know, why didn't they ask?
Yeah.
Because I would have told them.
I think sometimes people don't want to know. They just want to ask. Mm-hmm. Or they just want to talk and make fun of that. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to the kids who are right now struggling with being bullied?
That you're not alone. Because it happens. Everyone's gone through it at least once or twice in their life, and knowing that you're not alone, and even in the darkest situations, will help. There's always going to be someone you can reach out to, and even if you don't know who that is, you can go find someone. Yep. I wouldn't have been able to get through it without supportive people around me.
Yeah.
My family, a couple friends, but without saying anything, they wouldn't have been able to help, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's very good. To anybody who is, and we can kind of wrap up a little bit, to anybody who is struggling with an issue, they see this daunting task in front of them, big mountain of challenge. What's your go-to, some advice for them getting through it? Obviously, probably similar a little bit to bullying. There's always someone there. Mm-hmm. But what's your kind of your go-to for your motivation to keep going, that drive?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I do all the time and will say all the time is baby steps. So if you know you have to get from point A to D, but A to B is smaller and more obtainable. If you can get from point A to point B, then you can get from point A to point D.
That's right.
As long as you take the little steps that are needed for you. Like when I took a step back from college and really focused on my health, that was my point A to point B, was coming back home and getting healthy. Yep. And now that I've reached point A to point B, now that I'm healthy and able to do things, it was find a job that I could do. So now that I am healthy, I found my job. I'm in the musical, so there's another step.
Yeah.
I'm juggling school again, so online classes, and so there's my at least for now, my point A to point B.
That's awesome. Life's hard if you take it by the yard. life's a cinch if you take it by the inch.
Yep.
How can people find you and get a hold of you? Follow your story, follow your motivations.
So I'm really big on Instagram right now, only because photography is another way I can escape the reality.
Yeah.
So my Instagram handle is at Mikayla Cerrudo, MikaylaCerrudo. That's where I usually post a lot of my stuff and where I'm more active. But I do have a Facebook page, or public Facebook page, which is also Mikayla Cerrudo.
Yeah. And her stuff is great. I follow along, and you do take awesome pictures. So it makes sense because you always have sweet pictures, and I'm like, man, how does she get all these? But it makes sense that you love photography, so that's awesome. Yeah, her pictures are awesome, but you have some really thoughtful posts as well about being the best version of yourself, and overcoming your trials and that sort of thing. So check her out on Instagram and Facebook. Guys, please share this episode with your friends and your family. This is something that I think a lot of us need to know about. I've learned a lot today from you, so thank you for teaching me, but also for raising awareness on this sort of thing. And like she said, there's always somebody there if you're struggling with issues. And if you're not, then get out there and help someone who is, and be that person, be that rock for somebody else. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Mikayla. And guys, until next time, stay happy, stay humble, stay joyful.